order, 4 o'clock. We stand and say the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I make a motion to declare an open meeting.
So moved.
Second. Second, declare open meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Notification of the Open Meetings Act is posted on the door behind Dr. Arnold there. Roll call. Justin.
Present.
Chance.
Yes.
Wyatt.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Hayden.
Yes.
And Melissa.
Yes.
Okay, number 6, approve the agenda. Hopefully we got any changes to that.
So just the addition for that action item, for staff resignation. I sent you the resignation letter this morning, so that'll be a standing action item for most of the spring without identifying who. It'll just say discuss and take possible action on a resignation of certified employees. So if we receive one late after the packet comes out, we can still take action.
Yeah, add 23.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented with the addition of number 23. Is that right?
Yep.
I would second that.
Okay, moving second to approve the agenda with changes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Alright, move to the consent agenda. Starting with the minutes from the last month. Make sure everything looks good there.
We have no corrections. And if you do ever have any comments about the minutes, or if there are ever more details that you think maybe need to be included or more thorough, just let us know. Particularly Kelly, but she runs them by, she takes the minutes, obviously, runs them by me. Occasionally I'll add some detail, but most of the time she's spot on. But if she's not capturing the full extent of the conversation, just let us know if you feel they're sufficient.
Minutes all look good. We wanted the financial.
I did add in this, if you look up to the projection, I did add this column from, since September, I just had, these funded, different funds that are on our budget report. I went ahead and added claims, just so you can see running total of our monthly claims. Sometimes there'll be spikes. This month is a spike because we have 2 months of sped. So, for example, you could kind of take the December claims and January claims, split the difference. If we'd have received our sped bill last month, much of this 162 would have been in last month's 95. But we'll just kind of keep that going for you too, so you kind of recognize. And I can also provide, if you want, some trend data with regard to claims. I mean, I do use that quite extensively when budgeting. So year over year on particular months, we can see trend data on claims. So anyway, I did add that column for your information.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Anything with the CDs, I mean, we talked about those.
Yeah.
Last month.
Yes, again, I kind of want to wait till the end of fiscal and see where our budget is. And so I think that might be, I would recommend that we just kind of postpone that till summer. Just in case we have anything unexpected. I'm always worried about transportation. We got a bus, one of our newer buses had to tow it to Norfolk, and we've got about Kel, or $8,000 bill coming for one of our buses that's under 100,000 miles. So, in May, the feds the feds are gonna reconsider 12 to 15 passenger vans for school districts. That would be nice if they do. I'll visit with you obviously about maybe transitioning into a van purchase or two. I do not want to buy a big diesel bus again, to be honest with you. I'd rather buy a gas-powered short bus or 12 to 15 passenger vans. We can run 2 of our bus routes in a 15-passenger van if we had them. Now, economically, and a lot of things to consider with regard to that, and you never want to be probably without a big bus, but our motor coach is now running a whole lot of, it's taking a lot of responsibility off our yellows. Bob is not a huge fan of the new yellow buses with the technology and such. One of the buses we run are from the 80s, and it's just up and down the highway and up and down the country roads and rattled all to beat the band, but there's not much to go wrong on it. So at any rate, this summer we'll hopefully have some information from the feds that'll come from Washington to Lincoln, and so it may ease up the complication of running a 12 to 15 passenger van. And so with regard to maybe a CD purchase or so, where's our budget? Do we need to make a vehicle purchase yet in this? And it's in the budget. I did budget for vehicle acquisition. But I hope and expect we'll be able to make an investment in a CD at wherever the best rate is, as opposed to making sure we share the wealth a little bit. And we do have CDs in all 3 banks in the district. But there's more than just a small percentage of rate difference. So keep you posted on that, but I think we'll probably wait a couple of months maybe before I recommend a CD investment. Fiscal down August 31.
The bus that was towed, what new diagnosis on that? Emissions?
I think it was an emissions, yeah.
It was an emission.
Yeah.
It's always, yeah.
Well, now maybe we can delete it since Trump's in there.
We may see DEF go away at some point, yeah, along with the Department of Education, which we can sure talk about later if you have any questions or concerns about if that might happen and how it could affect us.
What can this be, what's the sense of the tank?
That's
That's
exactly
shut
right.
me down for the same here. Right.
Does that have rates down
The rates on the CDs,
there?
yes, it's on this right here.
We wanted the claims to make sure those were approved.
What's the broom for $1,000?
The broom is Gail's broom on the front of the skid loader that
Gotcha.
he'll probably use this week. So after about 4
I was
years,
just wondering how big a broom is what?
they start to lose their bristles because they start about this long, and after about 4 years, they're down to about that. So there's a lot more pressure on where it's connected to the head. And about year 4, we'll see, he'll run it and we'll see him. And so we just, about every 4 years, we replace the broom.
Questions on any of those? Not, we'll take a motion then to accept the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Okay. We have a second. I'll second. Moving second to accept the consent agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Moving to number 8, celebration of excellence. Randy.
Not here yet, so can we come back to that?
Yep, go back. Number 9, any public comment? Anyone want to talk? Not yet. Okay. Move to number 10, then, update on the facilities report.
Okay, Kyle and Jen and I have a meeting with Bob Wednesday at 2, just to look at the latest details with regard to the audit. And we're gonna start providing him with some input from our perspective on some solutions that we see as an administrative team that we're gonna want him to start to wrap his mind around. Again, he's not gonna, when he comes to present the audit to the public, he's not gonna make any recommendations necessarily, but he'll have some proposal, some basic proposals for plans for solutions, particularly with regard to replacing the 1920 building. But we certainly want to make sure that we talk with Bob, which we have at least once a month since the audit began. He likes to run his data by us that he's received from teachers. We've done that. We're probably done doing that. I think he has the input that he needs from them. But we'll start to kind of look at a potential date. So we'll ask him, you know, when do you project this being done and ready? I think he's going to want to talk with the board again for sure before that happens. But for the past several months, we've been talking about a potential March date, potentially for pushing that out, and that's just a couple of weeks away. So I wouldn't expect to be in the first half of March, more likely the second half of March, if not into April. So if you didn't have a chance to look at the Plainview paper last week, I provided a little column on there. Nothing new. I've kind of said all that before, going back really many months before the audit began. I invited Brooke in, and I expect you'll see something in the paper again this week, only it'll be from Brooke Curtis. He took a couple pictures of things. We just only went to the 1920 building. You know, he was familiar with that. I mean, he remembers, you know, years ago the story about then the concern about the floor. But I just visited with him somewhat generically about it's really maybe time, and I reflected back with him on our last bond issue of 1977. I'm not sure how we funded this addition, the north wing here, but it wasn't a bond election. It was probably a lease purchase or building fund monies. But that would have been, I bet this north wing addition in '93, I don't know what it costs. I know the bond issue in 1977 was $1.6 million to build the new school and gym. You know, I mean, that's not going to surprise me. It's 50 years ago. So I'm careful to talk anything beyond. We've got a 105-year-old building that is essentially original, and we really hope our stakeholders would consider some modern learning space there, and that will open the conversation up to go maybe a little further. So I'll be curious to see what Brooke has to say and what his position might be. He sure seemed to think it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough. So I did receive from Bill Beckenhauer. Not sure if I included that in your packet.
No.
You don't have a copy of that. I did receive that from him last week, and it looked like it was $15,000. Let me pull that up real quick for you. Oh, that's 26. I'm sorry, I didn't have this right. There it is. Okay, it looks like $15,850 to essentially arrest any further failure. Not to repair it to original, not to bring the floors back up, but just to secure what's on there. Scope of the work: removal of the plaster ceiling, add back additional support beams, temporary dust partitions, removal, replacement. Per structural scope dated back in 2016, and September 30, includes all labor and such. So that's good to know. And that's a better figure than what I was anticipating, because I was just somewhat generically suggesting, and that was with information from Bill, that potentially triple of the 2016 bid. So there you go. That's probably something for the Building and Grounds and full board to consider, regardless of whether that there could be a demolition of the entire building, which wouldn't be any time before. I would hate to project, potentially even a next summer of 26, if there's a public support at a potential November election.
So we'll still say that it's very soon.
Yeah, but anything within 15 months. Been operating with it like that for years and years and years. But anyway, a $15,000 investment to at least provide a sense of security that the next joist over might not fail.
Andy, to take any, I guess we talked about liability agents anyway, we've got a couple letters anyway from some engineers anyway, saying that it needs to be, whatever,
Yep.
not fixed, but at least shored up.
Yep.
Anyway, so, that probably building ground needs to meet, and,
Meet before, maybe get a decision on it next month.
consider, it's at least maybe a summer project or something like that.
Yep. No sense to, you have all the facts that you need,
Yep.
so no sense to wait, yay or nay.
Just hate for something that,
Yeah.
we're gonna deal with it for another year.
Is this just on the third floor?
It is on the third floor, southwest corner and southeast corner. Both of them. One of them is about twice the level of failure, just over 3 inches, going back about 15 feet on either side from the corner. The other corner is about half that. The southeast corner is about half the level of failure.
You sent us an email with some photos of that a while back. You
You did.
Likely,
Okay.
yes, a
Pass
couple
that
of
on.
months ago.
Yes.
Plus-
Okay, and you can see the photo.
Yeah, plus the engineering letters.
Or at any time, stop up and see for yourself, for sure.
What's this timeframe on, does it say when you begin?
I think, did I see on here potentially this summer? Now I'm not seeing you posted.
That's fine, just.
Whether
as long
it's
as our-
this summer
as long as
or
our
next
decision
month.
doesn't- As long as our decision doesn't affect his timing.
Yeah, that's a good point, Justin. If putting it off any further, he may say, you see it?
So it
Chance?
says he will withdraw this proposal if you don't send this in 15 days.
I think I can probably
Yeah.
ask him to, hey,
Pretty
give us
standard.
grace through, next month, we'll take formal action on it. But I guess if Building and Grounds meets next week, and if your Building and Grounds Committee is, we're gonna recommend to the full board, I would expect that we can project support for it well in advance of the March regular meeting.
I think the sooner we move on, the better off being liability and just not.
Okay,
Let's get it discussed. Let's get it on.
I'll push out information to the new
Yep.
Building and Grounds Committee of From Rasmus and Alexander. We'll find a date, hopefully in the next week.
Thank you. One more thing, this is around facilities.
Yes,
I
we're-
guess this is kind of facilities, but any update on Lincoln Street?
Yes.
Engineering?
Yes,
You do? Great.
yes, well, not great.
Oh.
I'm
a lot of dollars,
afraid.
That's probably not.
Yeah, it was, Kyle, did that come from me? Oh, no,
Yeah,
I know
I
where it
forwarded it
is.
to you.
Forgive me, I know where it is, I've got it right. Yeah.
Refreshment of the
There.
Lincoln Street project, what's the?
Okay, Lincoln Street, which runs behind the grandstand.
Oh, okay.
So all the way from, so we're talking gate to gate, Mr. Dorr, gate to gate is our domain. That touches our property. So if you go out the gate to the east towards the manor, there's about 200 feet that is included in the scope of this project, which is not our responsibility. And then also Pine Street, which runs north and south between the field and the manor. That's a city project that's included in this. So what I highlighted for you is the Lincoln Street only. So we would have the lion's share of half of this. So you take everything and cut it in half. Okay, now that though does include outside of our scope to the east of, and I'll send this document to you, to the east of the gate. And then there's also these expenses in bold, which we would have 50% of, or quasi. I mean, we're not gonna get it down to the precise percentage, but we need to try. Because the city's portion is half of Lincoln Street, gate to gate, and then everything east of the gate on Lincoln and Pine. But that's all in this bid, which was more than double what we even projected about a year ago, when we just, you know. So it's quite significant. I haven't talked to Mr. Tarr, so I don't know where the city will be. They may say, no, we can't swing it. If they can't swing it, we can't swing it.
And not to interrupt you, Justin, to catch you up to speed, and Caden also, the city is working on a housing development over there. The street, yep, the street would need to be paved so that they could have a basement without flooding, so that there was adequate drainage. So it's a large project, large collaboration, so.
So it's not just paving the road, it's.
No, it's
Yeah.
not just paving the road.
Yeah, and more, probably more expense than you might expect to move water, because water doesn't move down there and there's nowhere to go with it. So it's maybe a bigger project to move water than to just create some gutters and some pavement. So we'll obviously have now more serious conversations with the city, and we'll see what the city council maybe has to say. I don't know that this is on their agenda for tomorrow. I would expect maybe it would be, but I'm not 100% sure. So they may just trim the scope all the way down to just Pine Street so that they can develop that property.
Well, when you do find out what's on the city council's agenda, could you please send it to us
Mhm.
over email, and we'll see
Yeah.
who can make
Should
it.
be posted
Yeah,
now.
it should be posted right
On
here.
the city's website.
Discussion, presentation, possible manor reservation, discussion, annual ordinance approval, resolution, warranty, motion to waive, motion to approve, reject settlement, agreement, Plainview, manor administrative job performance. I don't know that I see anything specific to that paving project.
Well, maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to
What's
go for the
approval
public
to
comment.
advertise for bids to Hayward.
What number?
Never mind.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that'd be different.
No, I was asking about public comment at the end there, if school board members or the school should be represented in some way to go and say, hey, where are we at with this discussion? Could we do it on your
I'll
agenda?
connect to Mr. Carr,
Okay.
and advise you on whether that would maybe be wise to go. It would obviously be probably a multi-year budgeted item. There'd be several ways to fund it, a couple of ways to fund it, but likely over the course of a couple of years. And let's see, the other item with regard to facilities. Let's see. No, I think that's all I had for an update on facilities. So Mr. Rasmussen, if you wanted to go back to 8.
Yeah, I see we've got our band students here waiting, so we'll go back to that.
Okay. Thank you guys for being patient.
This way. So we brought some stuff, just to kind of show you what things we came along. So these are the uniforms. As you can see, we have 2 different modes that come with these uniforms. Emma is wearing marching mode, and then Kara is wearing concert mode. So So these are all the things that we got. We also got some brand new plumes, which Emma is showing in hers. Those will be used for marching season. We got a whole tote to take care of them and keep them in good condition. And then along with that, we
One of
have
the
some-
best things is we have a half badge uniform, well, half uniform badge, which is amazing. In the back, there is a zipper for keeping all of our shoes together, because previously we did not have containers for them, so they got stuffed and whatnot. Also wonderful. We can shrink it down even more for traveling. And then we got hat cases, boxes, oh my gosh. Really nice, because once again, we did not have these to store our hats, and this will just prevent them from getting scuffed or dirty, and should improve the lifespan by quite a while, so.
She was good for us girls. Let's do that.
Very cool.
It's crazy.
Very nice.
It says pirates on it.
Yes.
I was so excited when they sent me the videos of these being made. I was like, oh my goodness, look at it. It actually says Plainview on it. It's got pirates all over it. So,
No more V for Vikings.
Yeah.
yeah, we are no longer the Vikings. We are now the Plainview Pirates. So, I have cards here for the board members as well that the band signed, and then I also had the 5th and 6th grade band signed, because down the road they will be the ones using these as well. So I'll come around and get those to you. Is there any questions for us?
What are the big events planned for marching season?
So marching season, I haven't seen the calendar as of yet, because we kind of correspond, or we work around the school calendar as well. Some of the bigger ones that we do. In August, we did the state fair, so the band went down, they marched around the state fair, and then they got to see what that was like and hang out there for a little while. And then we usually do March to the Meridian. We couldn't do it this year because there was a volleyball triangular, I think, that was on that day. We went to the Wayne State College Band Day Parade, and then Harvest of Harmony sometimes also lands on that same day, so that's an on and off one as well. And then the Norfolk Lions Club Parade. So that would be the marching band one. And then
I heard you guys will be going to Lincoln.
yeah, we're gonna be heading down to Lincoln towards the Capitol building. The band had been selected to play at the Capitol Concert Series, which I think there was only 14 schools that were selected in the state of Nebraska that'll get down to play there. And we get to play in Music in Our Schools Month, so we'll be advocating for music while we're down there. So very proud of the group and how successful they've been this year, so they should be proud as well. Good group of kids. So.
Good job, guys.
Yep, looks good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for coming in.
And Ms. Folsis, you've had one public performance with your uniform?
Yes, we will have we
You've had one.
presented these at the concert. The band will be doing a public performance on March 23rd at Our Savior Lutheran Church, just to kind of celebrate with Plainview and going down to the Capitol Concert Series. So you're welcome to come and sit in with that, so we're excited. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Folsis.
Good job.
Thanks.
Oh, no, we had
Couple
them,
months
they
ago.
did wear them at the Christmas concert, so they came in December. And this was a $40-some thousand investment that the board approved last year.
The February meeting last year.
Yes, they were
Yes.
here. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, we did purchase
No longer than that.
enough for a significant size band, twice this size. So there'll be a lot of them that will hang in closets just waiting for the band to grow. And Mrs. Hodson would know better than all of us, the numbers in the elementary are better than they have ever been. So she's wisely, spends a lot of time over here, introducing band and opportunities to starting 4th grade, 5th grade.
Yeah, they
Fourth
learn
grade
about the
reporters,
instruments
sure.
before.
So she feels, she's optimistic and confident that the size of the band will grow. And so we'll have uniforms for everybody.
So did the mattress sale, was that a part of that?
Yeah. Among other things, she does have a separate music account, and so when they do go on some trips, she's got some money potentially for lodging. That's rare, but it's there. So they did not they didn't have to fundraise for any of this. This was a school board investment, as it should be.
So our previous uniforms were purchased in 1980-something.
Used.
And they were used at that time. So I mean, this is a long-term investment.
Sure.
And I would also like to state to the new board members that this Lincoln Street project and this 1920s building, I think it's very important that we go into the future with a growth mindset, working, collaborating with the city, so that we make sure that there's housing in Plainview, which is a goal for them, but we have teachers, particularly Miss Folsa, she drives from Oakland. Oakdale every day. So I mean, bringing new families in, everything is just a growth mindset at this point of,
Housing's a big deal here.
it is.
We moved here, there was nothing.
Same here, there was one. We didn't want to buy it, but we did eventually.
There was a sizable donation too for the band, wasn't there? Or they?
Yes, for the Krauses.
I've just heard there was a sizable donation.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's good.
And that's gone into a fund. Again, we didn't use any donations or fundraising. This was a school board investment. Just like you would, like for instruments, there was a significant investment in instruments the year I came. And probably getting ready for something like that again, because at some point in time, the bigger the band, the more instruments you need. So Ms. Volsis is outstanding. We want to do everything we can to have her be personally and professionally satisfied here at Plainview Public Schools.
So I don't know how any of that works. Do the kids not buy their own instrument? The school provides it, okay.
It just depends on the situation.
Okay.
Depends
A
on
student
My
might.
wife has a saxophone, I didn't know.
A student might, a family might invest in their own.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know how that worked.
If it meant not being able to be in band because you cannot afford the
Sure,
instrument, then.
and they're expensive, right?
Correct.
And music is so good for reading scores, math scores, everything. So most of her fundraising has been on her own accord, and she's taking the kids to more events. They're going further
Yeah.
without asking anything from the district.
Recently, they've had a lot of success.
Yes, and I feel like a big part of that is on her because she's getting the kids involved in these. You know, at the mattress fundraiser, the kids were there, they were helping. You know, she's doing a very, very good job. She is an asset to
Very
our school.
ambitious.
Okay, we all done with facilities and amenities?
I believe so, yes. We'll report to you probably by the end of the week after we have our visit with Mr. Suka on Wednesday. I'll share out with the full board kind of the scope of our conversation and what you should anticipate in the coming weeks.
Do you want the full scale of Lincoln too, like they have the visual of it too?
If you've got that, send that to me,
Yeah,
I'll push
find
that,
it.
I'll push that out to you. Yes, you had that for me last month, I didn't share it.
Shows all the parking and stuff, so I'll find that.
All right, we'll move on to 11, the technology committee. Chance, Wyatt, and I met here before the meeting. Mr. Schmidt, sitting with Carl. It sounds like a local phone company named US a bit that's pretty similar to what Kidwell had proposed, and we're able to do pretty much the same thing, with a few differences, but I guess the feeling was that to keep it local might be worth just a little bit as well, you know, to have that support here locally. The main thing was the actual phones was not being included in the list. They didn't really feel like they needed individual phones for each classroom.
So I don't even understand what the full.
There will be phones for every classroom, but not the Zoom phones.
Capability to
Yeah.
take it.
Correct, not individual numbers, not every teacher won't have their own independent phone number.
Extension.
Yeah, they'll still all have an extension, but they were gonna be able to, use their own personal phone to receive and dial out on a school number. So they wouldn't, so outside of school hours to communicate with families, it would still be they could be at home on their cell phone, but it would be a school phone, number and operation, you know. So, again, we didn't feel that, beyond your administrative team, that's really not a feature that probably is maybe is necessary. So we were able to kind of let that go, that desire for that go. Even though that's about the most modern way of communications now, but we can operate without it. I should have brought that sample phone over, but it's a typical desk phone that they'll be able to provide. And for all your offices, there's what's called the sidecar, and that will provide more opportunities for extensions and information to connect with any phone on campus, both buildings.
I think there's some value to having it locally. We've been having problems with our internet. I called this morning and I was uptown. Blake Nimsey Hauser beat me to my house, you know. They're there right away.
Yeah.
And they do a lot for school too.
They do, and
Yeah.
for the town.
We'd obviously feel confident going in that service would almost certainly, we would expect it to be better than operating out of town. So the bid that's in your packet that would need to be approved would be $10,440. And then there's applicable monthly charges. So $10,440 plus the applicable monthly charges would be what we'd ask you to approve on action item 16.
Is the $290 the monthly charge?
Yes.
So the 10-4 is just for the setup of everything.
10,440.
Yeah.
And it'd be in addition to the 290.
Correct.
I think I took 290 times 36 months and it came out to exactly 10. I thought it was just, I didn't know if that was included or if that was.
I was thinking that too.
I thought maybe it was 290.
I thought they were just making a sign like a
Recurring
3-year
rate.
deal, so they got somebody
Like a
money off
one-time
it.
charge of $0.
Well, we'll still have a monthly fee, that's right. We'll still have a monthly fee. I thought that 290 was the monthly fee, but regardless, whether that 290 is adds up to the 10,440, I doubt that's coincidental. Because initially we thought, hey, if we went the other route, we wouldn't have any monthly expense, and so that would be a savings of dollars to be invested in the Kidwell bid. So we'll still have some. It's about $600 a month.
Here it looks.
That's the break.
So it's kind of like a cell phone bill where you're paying for your phone, you're paying for the service, but I think it's built into that. I don't know what page this is on. It shows a kind of breakdown. It
What's
looks
it,
like
which,
right
what's
here.
that sheet? Yeah, it's back to back.
Looks like 190 is maybe the phone itself, the equipment, and then there's some service stuff in there.
So we'll own the equipment, correct? We're buying physical phones and we own those?
Yes. You talking, let's see, this page?
Yeah, right there. So that adds up to 290, and that kind of looks like it's got an equipment plus services tied in. So then maybe at the end of the 3-year period, maybe you take the 190 out, like once you've got the equipment paid off.
Oh, you're thinking they amortize the equipment over the 3 years?
That's how cell phone.
Yeah.
You know, you get your phone paid off, your bill goes down, that's just your service.
And then they send out a virus and everybody.
Update, yeah.
Basically, pay it all up front, then.
Well, that's, yeah, because there's no one-time charge. Or did they say we did have to? We need to approve 10,000 up front, or is it?
Let's see, I am gonna try to connect with.
Transportation.
Mr. Sauer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think he was almost sick kid.
Yes, but he's coming back this afternoon.
Are you right, late on the phone?
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
Let me see if, let's just come back to it if we can. Let's see if Mr. Sauer's arrived. I think he was planning to come right after lunch, so he may be here. I'd
Yeah,
like
we can
to,
push that.
yeah,
That'd be nice to know.
just so you have some clarity.
that back till we hear from Mr. Stockton.
Let's move on to number 12 for now. We'll do the board policies, 508, 14, 15, 16, and 17.
Okay, 508-14 is about our AEDs. And as you know, we've done a lot in the past couple of years to become a heart-safe school, certified heart-safe school, which means essentially you need to meet these certain levels of criteria. And one of them is certainly providing more AEDs on your campus. We now have, how many, Jen? Total, 4?
No, more than that.
One
I was
in.
gonna say 6, 5 or 6.
Okay, I think we've got 2 in the high school building, 1 here, 1 at the ag shop, 1 down at the sports.
1 in our building.
And we have a portable one.
Yep.
Yeah, so, and we've been able to afford those through some grants. And of course, Nurse Beth and Jen and a handful of other people kind of spearheaded that. But we don't have any language change with regard to our policy, though, on AEDs. 508-15, concussion awareness. With regard to either athletics or return to learn protocol. So this guides those procedures. This is under statute. So this is mandated by statute, so every school district has a concussion awareness policy regardless of who your policy subscriber is. Kyle, do you want to just quickly just share a little bit about return to learn with regard to
We kind of
concussion?
changed it a little bit this year, so every kid that participates in activities gets impact tested every 2 years, which is a baseline score. So then if a kid has concussion symptoms, we give them the test again, have a doctor read it, and then at that point, we enter into what's called return to learn or return to play. Both of them are the same. Day one or step one is you have to be symptom free, and then step 2 starts with the physical activity. So then it's just you have to be able to walk without symptoms for half an hour, then you have to be able to run, then do sport specific, and then you can start contact. So that first step also involves returning to school. So if you can't make it a full day in school without symptoms, we have to provide an alternate place for them to go, dark, without light, anything along that, or provide half days of school as well. So that's kind of the whole protocol behind everything.
Tell me I could have missed every month.
Just
Well,
got
I mean,
your
it's
bell
5 days
rung.
to get back, Shan, so I mean, you're really cutting it close. If you came in on Monday and said that it's not good.
I think about 10 or 15 years ago, there were a couple of collegiate athletes that died as a result of being concussed. And like a lot of things, they just kind of filtered down from collegiate level into high school. So they placed a premium on head injuries and concern for head injuries. And now, at that time, yeah, there was a little bit of pushback, or maybe it was maybe overboard, but now it's just standard, and it's statutorily standard. It's rare. I mean, Kyle, did we have a half a dozen kids in the return to learn protocol over the last year, maybe?
I think we've had 3 over the last year.
Yeah.
Might have just been 2.
It's generally pretty rare, and that's a good thing. And it doesn't have to be a concussion that happens during the course of play of school activities. I mean, anytime there's any kind of head injury, if they're a school student, there's a protocol that goes into place. So that's 508-15, 508-16, food allergies. And certainly could have had maybe LeVay come, part of her training as a food service director. has a lot to do with this, along with our nurse as well. We have a list provided by local doctors, through our school nurse, through our teachers and coaches, of students that have particular food allergies and the protocols that we need to have in place. Doesn't disrupt us to any great extent. The biggest one in public notice is probably peanut allergies. We have a couple of students that have peanut allergies, but not severe enough to where, you know, we can't have any type of peanut residue within our building whatsoever. We don't have anything like that. So this is, yeah, not a policy that we have it, but it doesn't generally come into play where we're like, we better check our food allergy policy. Okay, any questions on
Current.
508-16?
So no changes so far, any of these just review?
No, just a review, yep. Oftentimes, rare, I would say, Mr. Dorr, to where, you know, a board member might come to me prior to the meeting, and even more rare, outside of the scope of policy review. Hey, I noticed something, or somebody asked me about some certain policy. Generally, our policy review is, we just put eyes on them. It's an awareness that you know it's there. I do then have to document when we've reviewed it last. And again, these all automatically update on the school website. So those are always accessible. Sometimes they're a little hidden. People have to find a few clicks. They may have to ask where they are, but they're under district office. And then board policy, or actually under our quick links too. There's a couple different avenues too.
Allergy thing is kind of a standard procedure with kids with allergies. They just bring their own lunch.
They manage their own, yes. We have a few kids that carry EpiPens. We receive training on the use of EpiPens annually, which is I don't think we've ever administered one, not in my time here. It's take the cap off and jab them in the thigh, which, you know, we don't ever want to really do, but we're prepared to, you know, if we must. But it hasn't been an issue, and it won't be until it is, right? One of those deals. 508-17, seizure safe schools. Most of the time these policies come about, right, because some legislator, usually in Lincoln, has a constituent that has an issue. So they mention it to their local senator, and oftentimes they find an avenue to get a law passed. And now we have policies imposed upon us. There's a whole bunch of new ones right now that have been introduced in Lincoln, right, because the unicameral's in session. So we'll have a handful. There are dozens of bills that have been proposed that would add to and change our policies. As you know, if you've been on the board more than 1 year, we always have a big update in the summer as a result of the unicameral. So seizure safe schools, just another mandate for protocol, for awareness, and responsibilities of schools with regard to students who may be susceptible to seizure. And we have several students that are on our list of medical needs and responsibilities who are susceptible to seizure. Okay, any questions there? I don't have any language change recommendations, and oftentimes, most of the time I don't. Any changes in language is usually due to congressional or unicameral activity.
Okay, thanks for the update. Move on to 13 then, the board development. We have another KSP video.
Yes, do you want to go ahead and go through with that, or do you want to postpone that? For sake of time, it's about 10 minutes. It's on student and staff confidentiality. We can sure do that now, or
Do we watch it on our own,
I can push it out to you, and then we can have conversation next month.
let's do that? I say.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, send it
Okay,
out to those
yeah,
ones.
it's a pretty good one. I mean, we did talk a little bit about that policy last month, confidentiality, certainly with regard to what the board maybe is aware of. on certain things. It's supposed to kind of stay out in the event that you could have a potential hearing and that you have no bias. But it's a good video from KSB, from Bobby Truitt. So I'll push that out to you, and we'll have a discussion item next month.
Yeah, we'll follow up on that.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to action items. 14, discuss and take possible action on the Board of Education Committee assignments. Board of Education. We all should have a copy of what I came up with. I did hear back from a few of you with some preferences. Hopefully got you on some that are of some interest to you. I think you got skills to be on. It's kind of how I tried to do it. So it'll be some pretty important ones coming up next few years probably. So obviously some meet more than others too, but everybody's on 5 committees if I did my math right. If you're not, if somebody has a big problem with where they're at, please let me know. Probably rationale. Move it out of order. That's where I've got you for now.
Need a motion?
I think we do need a motion.
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion to accept the Board of Education Committee assignments for 2025 as presented.
That's not me.
Okay, move in second to accept the committees for 2025. Around the room, Justin?
Yes.
Chance?
Yes.
Wyatt?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Steve? Yes. Melissa?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried 6-0. Number 15, discuss and take possible action approving membership in the Nebraska Association of School Boards, 25-26.
In your folder, I did include your membership guide, and so it's just, that membership guide is just good for you to see some of the faces and names that you may be familiar with that provide leadership on the NASB, but also primarily what services the NASB provides for your membership dues. Again, they are your organization, support you, provide development, put on a big conference in November. Be nice if your membership dues, paid all those expenses, which it doesn't. But same with our policy services through the NASB, but that is an additional charge. So anyway, there's a 2% discount if paid before the 1st of April. So the amount is $4,034 if approved today.
So in our packet, we had a charge of $4,794 to NASB for dues and fees. Is that a separate membership fee on claims?
No, there was other things included in that. There was a conference that Dr. Arlt went to, and it was more than one invoice. That's why the
Okay.
numbers got tied up.
So it says dues and fees, but that's not membership.
That pulls like one of the accounts that I give to it. It doesn't always pull.
Is
it's
that in
using-
claims in anticipation of approval, Cal?
Yes, sir.
It's noted as annual membership.
It is.
Yeah.
There's some other fees tied to that, so.
Yeah.
So any.
4,034 is inside that 4,000.
So we already approved it.
Yes, correct.
It's
already paid.
no, she's holding on the check
Oh,
right now.
okay.
We signed
Yeah.
it, but it's waiting to
Gotcha.
approve, so we have.
This was in anticipation.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, because we knew, and of course, we could have approved it in March and still got the 2% discount, but just to get it off the desk and through the.
If we don't
through your
approve it, we'll
approval.
tear it up.
No, I got you. I was just trying to figure out why there was two, but
Yeah.
why we had one.
So yeah, you pay membership for services, but then throughout the year, I attended a legislative issues conference in Lincoln last week. There's a fee for every conference.
No, I'm
So
not
that-
opposed.
Yep.
I was just trying to see
Yep.
why we paid one and then we're asking to pay another one. Leave that.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
that's
Okay.
just one.
I think any of you guys that have been to any of their events, they provide quite a bit of value, and they're always willing to help. With any issues you have, they're going to come meet with you. So they do provide a nice service.
Are there any alternative services to them, or are they kind of a?
No, they're your,
They are the one and, okay.
they're your support organization. That's fair to say.
We have some like the NERCs that dues, but that's different.
It's different.
NERCSA is different, NCSA is different, NASB.
Leaving that acronym.
Nope, that clears up all my questions.
I'll make a motion to renew our membership in the Nebraska School Board Association in the amount of $4,034.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded to accept the NASB membership for this year. Myself, yes. Wyatt?
Yes.
Chance?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Katie? Yes. Motion carried 6-0. All right, we'll push off 16. Yeah, we haven't heard from
I have.
Mr. Stoughton yet.
I have, yeah. Yeah, just see if we can take action on that at the end.
Okay.
You know, right now.
To 17, then we'll discuss take possible action on revisions to policy 20407, meeting notice.
Okay, so from our, speaking of NASB, let's see. So, in red are the changes to policy 20407, meeting notice. So, why this is coming out at this point from NASB, I don't know. Because we've known about this for a little bit. This was, I think, last year's unicameral action. They were maybe waiting for a legal opinion. Because oftentimes a unicameral will pass a law, and then they'll need lawyers to help manage the policy language. So this has to do with providing meeting notice through your local publications. So because some smaller districts didn't have a local paper that maybe was able to get it published in the right time, depending upon when they push their paper out and get information to them. So they lobbied for a different opportunity to publish notice of a meeting. So the language in red now gives a little more flexibility to public bodies like school boards to meet the meeting notice language. So it's a non-issue. We don't have an issue with it, but it's a broad stroke of a brush where there was an issue somewhere. Here's what they typically do is take a shotgun approach, and it applies to everybody. So there's nothing in this language in red, the strikeouts or the additions, that you need to worry about. I take care of this, but this is your policy. So I would just ask you to approve it. We must have approval because it is the law change.
So they're creating a state website, it sounds like?
Yes, so you've got.
Will ours be there as well then, or?
Yes.
Okay.
We post ours on our website, already, and that covers us, and of course, so does, Brooke does a great job of making sure that it's in the Wednesday issue prior to board meeting.
I'll make a motion to revise policy number 204.07, meeting notice as presented.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded to accept the changes to policy 20407. Kate?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Chance? Yep. Wyatt?
Yes.
Myself, yes. 36-0. Let's go to number 18 then. Looks like we've got discuss and take possible action on revising policy 50424, Title IX, non-discrimination.
Well, every time there's a new administration in the White House, they change interpretation or enforcement of Title IX. Title IX, which was passed in the early 70s, to provide equal opportunities essentially for females, but now it applies to everybody. It's a non-discrimination, massive law. I want you to notice right here, this will be the change to Title IX. Page 1 of 5. You approved a 24-page Title IX policy because that's the way the Biden administration wanted it. The Trump administration dialed all that back in one executive order on Inauguration Day, and so we're simply going back to the future. We're going back to the Title IX policy, so there's nothing on here, I believe, that is red or strikeouts NASB just pushed out to us the Title IX policy prior to Biden administration. So we went from a 24-page policy to a 5-page, back to a 5-page policy. Just needs your official approval.
I'll make a motion to revise policy 504.24, meeting notice as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, been moved and seconded to revise policy 50424. Discussion? Now we'll vote. Myself, yes. Wyatt?
Yes.
Chance?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. Motion carries 6-0. Number 19, discuss and take possible action revising policy 717, disposal of property under federal grants.
Okay, if a federal grant pays for, or funds any type of single individual item, the school district has responsibility with what they're gonna do with it when they're done with it. It used to be a $5,000 limit, it's now a $10,000 limit. This is the only change to this policy. Now, if an item is purchased with a federal grant, the threshold is $10,000. Anything under $10,000, you can do with it what you want. If it's $10,000 or more, you have to follow this policy. That's simple.
I'll make a motion to revise policy 717, disposal of property under federal grants as presented.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to revise policy 717. Discussion? Now, vote. Melissa?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Self, yes. Wyatt?
Yes.
Chance?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Just a quick question on that.
Yes.
The value of the property at the time of disposal is less than $10,000, or is it at the time of purchase of the property?
Time of purchase, so it's how much did you pay for it? So yeah, huge difference, you're right. I might have paid $10,001 for it, and 5 or 10 years later, it's worth nothing. Yeah.
Playground equipment, for example.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Driving a car off the lot.
something like that, you know, just wondering.
Yeah.
Okay, number 20, discuss and take possible action revising policy 718, fiscal management, internal controls.
So a significant increase in the language here on this one. Again, this has to do with the feds. It really will apply minimally to us unless we, we'll have a lot more policies that will apply to us if we pass a bond issue and maybe have millions of dollars in investment. Again, depending upon how you fund it. But once you accept federal funds, a significant amount of policies will start to apply. We found that out, most school districts found that out during COVID, right? Because we had all kinds of ESSER money. And we didn't, because it's so rare for us to have significant amounts of federal funds, we weren't aware of a whole lot of policies. And so we were doing a lot of catch-up. Davis-Bacon would be one example. Davis-Bacon is the wage that you must pay federal workers, or workers paid with federal dollars. And so that caught a lot of school districts off guard. Every school district now has a poster hanging somewhere in their school about Davis-Bacon. So 718, if I look at this language down here, policy 717 and 718 updated to reflect changes in federal statutes and state oversight. These include many specific details on handling federal grants, funds, and awards. It's likely the NDE will ask to see these policies when reviewing these types of federal programs. So routinely, we have an audit, a federal programs audit, and they will say, show us 717 and 718. I'll be able to show it to them that the board approved them on such and such a date, that date being today. So we'll say, good, Plainview's in compliance.
I'll make a motion to revise policy 718, fiscal management, internal controls as presented.
I'll second it. Any discussion? Not, moving second then to motion to revise policy 718. Vote. Katie?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Chance? Wyatt?
Yes.
Self, yes. Motion carried 6-0. Okay, we'll move then on to number 21. Discuss discuss any possible action on the contract terms from Ms. Jen Hudson for 25-26. Got a array and a comparison there, and then an ask in your packet. You guys got that, actually not, probably, is it in the packet?
They got to mail it out to us.
Yeah, it is.
Everybody.
I sent an email with the ask. You
Yeah.
should have seen, you should have two different emails, one Jen, one Kyle. And the array was in your packet and is displayed up here.
Everybody have a copy of that?
I don't think the array was in the packet back there.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that.
It's not, but it's up.
Yeah.
This was the packet you sent out, Kel.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
there
on
is
the back of
one.
the Broadberry.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, it's on the back.
And you'll notice that one year for both sausages, Mr. Smith was a zero, they declined in pay raise.
Sounds, and I didn't quite understand that far right column, what years at or below mean administrator.
Well, see, they calculate education years, the number of years you're in education versus the number of years that you're an administrator. So I was just kind of highlighting the administrators that have been in it less years than myself. Everybody else on that array has been in there as an administrator longer than me. But I'm one of the few that have been in the same district for as long as I have.
And then, on that part under your salary, the 94,420, is that including the extra pay? 'Cause we had good 9,000 down last year.
That includes her coaching.
Yep.
Okay. So it was just a little bit different. And then explain to us the $25 one, is that to be something new that we have not been doing?
Correct. So for the high school teachers, you guys approved putting in to a 403B for them. And essentially Kyle and I are just asking for the same thing from the district.
I just did the quick math, the average of everybody in that is 995,630. And the lowest paid all the way.
Plainview High School, Mr. Kanaka.
No.
Expect you to do that in your head.
5.6% raise, that aligns with what the staff got, correct, in the negotiated agreement?
Yeah.
Because the EHA rate went up, so we give another 1,000, so 38,800, 41,000. So it aligns as far as asking what it is.
So just it's common practice to follow what their.
No, there's no common practice here. It's completely just a negotiation, just an open discussion anyway, on what she feels like she wants and what we agree to, so, yeah.
I mean, taking into account what was negotiated in those.
In the
staff.
teachers?
Yeah,
Yep.
teachers.
Yep, and that's, my preference is I'd like to see, I don't like seeing our administrators take a big jump over the top of any staff, and she's not, so
Mhm.
she's right. So, I guess it, I don't know, I'm okay with it. She's not asking for any more than anybody else is.
I don't know, did you guys read all we're talking about doing those stay interviews, all of our staff? You guys read those, that was nonstop talking about how much they enjoyed working for our administration, how much they enjoyed Jan, how much they enjoyed working for Kyle. classes, how supportive they are. It was pretty overwhelming, how everybody felt about our administration. Pretty good story to it.
Well, in the last 2 years, I've asked you both what your goals are, and they're evident. You're getting there, you're making your goals, you're making strides, you're good, you're both a good thing for our district. Yes, you are too.
We don't have to talk for about 10 more months about me.
But I see you doing that, you are seen, I know your staff loves you. So while they're still punching numbers, what are your goals for this next year?
I was anticipating you to ask me this, so.
Third year running.
Yes.
Why would you not?
My top two, I'm gonna give you two. Number one is our facility. Very excited and ambitious about the direction and taking on the challenge that we have ahead of us with our facility, but I think our needs are very obvious, so I'm very excited and ambitious about that. My second goal is that it has always been a goal of ours to improve our reading scores, but now more than ever, I think I'm more motivated. I think Kyle would probably tell you the same thing, because we feel it's a team effort with our staff just to strive to improve our reading scores. And we've gotten a lot of buy-in with the elementary teachers right now with some of the things we're doing, so I don't want to lose that momentum, and I want to take that and run with it myself.
And what's one example of doing that?
Almost all of our elementary teachers are signed up for letters, and I am doing my administrative version of it next month.
What's letters?
It's a science of reading training that our teachers have taken on with the ESU. It's been a 2-year commitment on their end to get the training, and I'm signed up for a 6-hour class, but a lot of support through the state and even our ESU to help with the reading at the lower elementary level especially.
I would advocate, for Jen on that, and I anticipated that maybe be one of her goals, but glad that she, mentions the letters training, which is, hasn't been mandated by the Department of Ed yet, but they couldn't more intensely recommend it. Our commissioner has a goal statewide, a reading improvement goal statewide, and so that's going to filter down, and of course that was one of my goals as well, is essentially to support primarily Jen, but also Kyle. And Jen has modeled for her teachers and led the way with an expectation that they will all be trained in the science of reading, which is letters. And this is kind of that's a bit of a, not just a statewide, but really a national push. And it takes every elementary principal kind of has that pressure to do it, but that doesn't mean they're good at it. And Mrs. Hodson she walks the walk. She speaks the language of the science of reading, and she's been able to get practically all of her teachers to embrace that training. And that wouldn't be natural if they didn't respect and trust her leadership.
Number one goal is to improve facilities. You said the needs there are obvious. And we talked about the 1920 building, but besides that, on this side of things, what are you
We
saying?
are very limited with space. All of our outside ESU staff that come to our building are housed in different rooms or in different spaces that we have. For example, Thursday, I was subbing all day Thursday, so I wasn't even in my office, but we had 4 different ESU personnel here, and 2 of them didn't have anywhere to go. So we just put one in my space, and then in between, we have another little cubby that we put one. And so that need, would love to see a 3-year-old preschool in our building. There's a demand and need for that.
That's also been discussed with the community building that is coming. I do see then at the chamber meetings and at the meetings that they have about that community building. Just a community growth mindset, again, collaborating with the educators. What does it look like if we have a 3-year-old daycare, or not daycare, preschool with the daycare in that building? Just a lot of ideas. It is an exciting time to be here.
I think our student enrollment supports the need for us to grow and expand as well. We have a kindergarten class right now with 31 kids in it.
And a 3-year-old preschool is going to escalate those reading goals. How about you, Sarah?
A lot of them would be the same as Jen, so, I mean, I'm not gonna get into the academic side of things, but I think when you look at us, we both plan to be here for a long time. Longevity is gonna be a big piece of it. I know I'm not gonna uproot my family and go anywhere as long as you guys will have me. And so we both wanna see facilities take off. I know that's a big goal. Our staff deserves it, our kids deserve it, and so that's one big thing we wanna push for and help grow our enrollment as well. I wanna see our town grow, I wanna see our school grow. So I think that's a big piece of it. And then with the academic side of it, yes, reading's a big part, but I wanna see, you know, math, science involved in that as well, and getting 70% proficient across all 3 curriculums.
The last principal that told us they wanted to stay left that year.
What are you foreshadowing?
It's almost like a bad omen that he said I want to stay.
I told you that last year, look, I'm still sitting there.
Mrs. Thompson, she
Kyle,
said
when
that.
you're talking about math and science, the growth there and the facilities and the growth in the community, is there anything that you have planned in the next year as far as job fairs or anything to encourage kids to learn skills of entrepreneurship in our community? And I know we do a work study on Friday, but is there anything that we can do to encourage those kids to, I mean, yes, we obviously want them to go to college, but to bring that back here and start their own businesses through the entrepreneurs that we have in this community as inspiration to the younger generation?
Yeah, we do the work-based thing you brought up, and a piece of that this year is gonna be them doing, a job fair with it, and them representing the business that they're a part of and actually selling that. And haven't talked to them yet, but getting the elementary kids to come through there and have them present to those kids, representing the businesses that they work at, and just start that piece. I know, college-wise, we've talked a lot more with kids about associate degrees and getting into the workforce and making sure they understand their options of what they have to have a 4-year degree for and what they don't, to allow kids to be more efficient with their time and money too. So those are all things that we work with quite a bit.
And just to spin off of what Kyle just said, I think that our junior pirate branch has made a great effort in bringing businesses into the elementary once a month and trying to expose them to all the different businesses that we have in town. Because some of them didn't realize Dr. Mary with Healing Hands and her chiropractic business is one that we've already had this year. So our goal at the elementary is kind of to lead into what some of Kyle's goals are when it comes to businesses and financial literacy.
Started young, I think it's right.
I think that's great. I think most kids don't even understand that there are a lot of jobs that even exist out there when they leave high school. You know, I felt like I learned about a new career I could have in college every week. You know, there's just a lot of things out there that you don't even know exist. Go from small town Plainview, Nebraska, there's a lot out there.
I just read a deal the other day that, the #1 demanded job in the next 5 years is plumbers, electricians.
Heck, yeah.
And like HVAC or
Yep.
something like that.
Any of those
It's
trades.
all these trades that
Any
you
of those
cannot
trades.
replace with an AI.
Yeah.
Welders are one of them.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I like the fact that you're, make the kids more aware of that, and maybe they don't need this, or, spin out the requirements, what they need, if they want to go that direction.
Maybe
Those
they
trades
decide,
make a lot of money too. I mean,
they do, and they're turning business down. And maybe they decide they wanna go get a 4-year degree, but now they got a great skill for life, you know? You're not me calling a guy to come do it for you.
I think the best one right now is Jay Nyquist. He got on with Newport. He's going to Columbus on Fridays and does electrician work, and that'll turn into a job for him once summer gets here. And that'll be a full-time job with an 18-month degree after that. So he'll go straight into the workforce and get the degree while working once he walks out our doors. So
That is great.
that'll be pretty cool if that all comes to fruition.
Well, I think both of you guys have done a great job. You're involved in so many different things and spend a lot of extra time. What you do here.
I think as well, if I could advocate just a little bit, you mentioned they're involved, and Melissa's mentioned a couple times with regard to growth mindset, particularly, you know, in our community. In a town like ours, the school district, call it what you want, the heartbeat of the community, the lifeblood of the community, whatever, most people would probably agree to some extent, to have your principals involved at the civic level. Kyle attends every chamber meeting, for a variety of reasons, but primarily is to have our community, the city, connected to the school. You know, nobody really outworks Jen with regard to, you know, she attended a meeting out of town to help maybe solve an issue for our community, which is daycare. And does the school have a role in that? Some schools do. We're gonna probably have that conversation. So, they're also very civic-minded school leaders, which, good for your community and great for your school.
What is that group of people, like, that started the idea with Lincoln Street? That group of people, it's, I don't remember.
Economic development group?
No, they're no elected
You're not,
or.
you have the Plainview Brunswick Foundation?
No, I don't remember, but Jen also works with just people in the community coming together with ideas, and she brings them back to the board. I don't remember what it's called. I wrote it down, but it's in my other book from a year ago. I feel like Nancy Helsers might be on it.
Steering committee?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is basically just a group of citizens that are invested in the town also.
I think her ask is reasonable considering all the things that she does, you know, all the time, you know, compared to her peers in the same category.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve contract terms for Mrs. Hodson for the 2026 school year as presented.
I'll second it. Been moved and seconded into set the contract terms for Ms. Hodson, 25-26. Further
You'll want to
discussion?
include that figure in the minutes, though.
Or,
So say your numbers. Hayden has
Just
to
the-
say numbers.
95,000
Leave the
Plus-
coaching out.
plus the 25 per month contributed to the 403B plan.
So 95,000 base, $25 to the
Per month.
403B. And,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
I think so.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Everybody get that? I can read it again.
Well, you're gonna have to read it again with different numbers in a minute.
So one thing I'd like to add is this, I mean, I'm on board here, but I'd like to have this information sooner than the Thursday before the board meeting. I mean, it gave us Thursday about midday, Friday, the weekend, just
Okay.
not enough time to, we really, I mean, I agree with it, staying in line with the other negotiations, I can understand that. However, I'd like to have your negotiations stand on their own. Again, sounds like you guys do a ton of great things. So I'd like to potentially separate you a little bit. Not saying what you're asking is unreasonable, but maybe more is reasonable. Where that becomes your ceiling, you know, that kind of sets a barrier in there, so. But as far as justifying that, just not enough time to go through that numbers.
Next year, when I ask you to approve a contract form in January, I'll include their request and an array in January to be acted on in February.
Just more time, I don't
Yes,
want to anything.
that would be
so.
good, thank you.
Is there any way we can get our board packet, like, not like just the Thursday before, but like, you know, like, say we would've got it the week
Yeah,
before last week?
yeah, we can do that,
Because it is
Chance.
kinda hard.
Our claims won't be quite as up to date. We usually like to get those last bills in on Wednesday, maybe even
Thursday
Thursday.
morning, yeah.
So that we can approve expenses as late as possible. Now, we've always, since I've been here, doesn't mean we have to do it that way though. So if you want your packet earlier digitally or hard
It doesn't
copy.
need to be the full packet.
I was gonna say,
Like,
can
if
we
could
wait
just
on
get,
the
like,
claims
agenda-
packet till
like
it's
the
up to
agenda
date?
part, just so we
Okay.
know what, like, a
Yeah.
little bit more what is
Yes.
coming?
I start to consult with the president and the vice president and the board the week prior, so Monday prior to, so last week at this time, I always push out a draft agenda, which, 99 times out of 100, I create the first draft agenda. I don't wait to hear from the board president or the vice president on what they want on the agenda. Most all the items on the agenda are cyclical. So I look back at my previous February agenda going back 8 years, and most of the time, yep, it's time for that, it's time for that, it's time for that. And then if I know of something else that needs to be on the agenda, whether it's action item, discussion item, I'll include that. I push that out to the president and the vice president to review. If you have a suggestion or a recommendation for an agenda item, that can go to me, but generally probably through your board president, who, it's his discretion. But I don't know how often that happens. I bet it's rare, but yes, however you direct me, I'll work with the president and vice president to prepare that.
Because I don't, do you have to send your agenda to Brooke like on
Yes,
Wednesday morning? Or?
I send it to him Tuesday or Wednesday, and I always let him know it's a draft. He doesn't get it until after I've had the president say, yep, looks good. Once I get the thumbs up from the president, I send it to Brooke, and I do let him know it's a draft, because we can change the agenda up to 24 hours in advance of the meeting. So Brooke knows this, so if he wants to publish the agenda in the paper, and he doesn't do that 100% of the time. Most of the time he does just a little article, says, hey, the board on Monday is gonna be talking about X, Y, or Z. There could be something added to the agenda after he gets it, but it's rare. But yes, he gets it so that it can be, so if he wants to write a little something about, hey, you might pay a little more attention to the board meeting coming up Monday, because they're gonna be discussing facility project or whatever the case may be.
Because you don't send, like Brooke doesn't get the financials and all that stuff, right?
He does.
Yes, he does.
Yes, okay.
He does. The only part that I don't share with him maybe are my notes, and there's no reason I can't. He's asked for them before, and I've sent them to him before, but, so, the notes would be the back page, and then the next page that has your prompt for a motion, because I might give you a sentence or two about rationale. There's no reason for me to not be transparent with that. He generally just gets the agenda and all the consent agenda, and certainly all the budgetary information.
So it wouldn't be like really inconvenient for you if you'd send that out to us like the same day you send it to him, like on our digital copy?
It would not be inconvenient at all.
Because I'm just saying that for me personally, it gains an extra day, because I get it on Thursday afternoon. If I have a chance to try to look at Thursday night or Friday, but then we got the weekend, and I really don't like to look at it if I don't
Yeah.
have to. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just to give us like just an extra day or whatever.
Well, it sounds like maybe we got issues like this with you guys' salary, maybe just try to get it towards the beginning of the week, and then with the agendas, try to get that in the middle of the week.
Or
Earlier than
even
the week.
I would be fine with the salaries coming in the middle of the week, just
Yeah.
a couple days earlier or whatever.
Well, I like the idea of them coming in January.
But if they have it,
After
just
the
slow down,
January
slow
bill.
down.
That's
Review
true.
again.
Yeah, if they have it, yeah.
Sooner the better. All right.
Because then if there's any real issue, and then there's not, but if there was, then we would have time to dig into it and discuss it.
What read it again, Tim?
Yep, so we got a motion and a second, then been moved and seconded to approve Mrs. Haas's contract terms for 25-26 with a $95,000 salary plus $25 a month contribution into her full 3D fund. Any further discussion on that? Not, we'll vote. Myself, yes. Dave? Yes. Melissa?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Chance?
Yes.
Wyatt?
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0. Moving on to number 22, discuss and take possible action on the contract terms for Mr. Kyle Schmidt for 25-26. Are you getting burned out yet?
Not yet.
Mm.
Got got a lot on the plate.
Have we stayed stagnant on the AD payment? I mean, I've taken on some additional duties being AD. I think we had 2 additional sports. Have we stayed at 8,000 for a while? I mean, are we paying you enough for that? I'm being honest here. Just
I know when I
asking a
initially
question.
took it, I just said that I'm fine with that staying there as long as I'm not expected to be at everything, cause I got my kids' stuff to go
Yeah.
to, so I'm gonna go to their stuff first. And I know as part as AD is being at things, so I'll take less money as long as I know I can go to my
I'm not
kids' stuff.
asking
and-
less, I'm asking if it's not. 8,000 is like a whole lot, anyway,
Not
for
for
the
what you
AD
do.
duties. Anyway, like I said, when you took that job, I think we had 2 less sports, I remember. We added bowling
Yep.
and girls wrestling since then, and so there's some additional
Well, now
duties that tied
they
to that.
split junior high wrestling as well.
More than, yeah.
Yeah.
So, we haven't done anything with that for a while, so.
That's, and that's extra duty pay. You can act on that later if you'd like, if you want an array. As I don't know if did you provide an AD array?
No.
For some reason I have it stuck in my head that when Robin Reed was doing the duties, more 8 and 11.5.
We were, yeah, it was more than 8.
Yeah. So,
We do that next month or is it
You
April?
you could, well, the extra duty
That's not
pay
safe.
for everybody else is already taken care of. The AD pay is kind of outside of that.
Yeah.
And certainly outside of 712 principal duties. So if you want an array, just so you kind of see, that's helps provide you some better information about maybe where Mr. Schmidt should be with regard to experience, number of, types of duties, responsibilities. So the AD pay can come at any time after today,
okay.
but the principal salary is primary.
Hard to see that though.
Maybe next month. we can talk
I
about
wanna get that to us.
Yeah.
Unless you don't wanna raise, then just not tell us.
Is a long-term plan or goal for your duties to stay as they are?
You mean share some duties maybe?
I mean, I didn't know, are you planning on keeping principal, AD, head coach, sponsor, you gonna keep that up for another? Is
For a
that, are you
while.
cool with it?
Let's
Okay.
I enjoy doing it.
Don't
I mean,
want-
that's the.
don't want it to
AD
be too
side is
much, I
just
guess.
kinda how my brain works, so.
Okay.
It's a lot, but it's a good fit, for Mr. Schmidt. We haven't really talked about grooming somebody else for that.
Yeah.
Whether
like an
it's
assistant
football
AD,
or whether it's
I
AD.
didn't know if
but-
it was an assistant AD or shared something.
That may
Don't
have
take it
to
the wrong
be-
way by any means, just.
Yeah.
Not that
You
you're
got a
doing a
young
poor
family
job.
and you've got,
Yeah.
other responsibilities other than just here at the school,
Yeah.
so, you get stretched pretty thin, so.
He does a good
That's
job
why I asked the
at
question.
delegating as well. He's got a good team, whether it's football or AD.
Mhm.
He's surrounded by pretty good people that he uses well. So he's not a control freak, so to speak. Yeah, it's a lot, but we all kind of work together. So we pick up some supervision with regard to time. Supervision is just essentially time, right? But the logistics of everything, yeah, he's the right guy for the job. It's a lot for sure, but he's got a lot of support too.
I think I ask the question every year, so. I
And
mean,
he
it's just
probably
par for
won't
the
say,
course.
won't brag about himself, but he does spend a lot of time with the AD responsibilities, and he stepped up to be our GNAC president for the Athletic
Right.
Association, so he's had a lot on his plate with that particular role this year especially.
How much does that pay, GNAC AD? You might need a raise there.
Free.
Yeah, I need a raise there.
We're all volunteers here.
It's the same as
Much
school
as
board.
school board.
5.1%, I don't have an issue with that at all.
I'm glad to see you guys take advantage of investing in your future. It was something that we, in negotiations, asked the teachers to be unique and come up with something that would benefit them, not just today or tomorrow. I'm glad that you guys are taking advantage of that and that you also approve of that negotiation.
talked about goals.
Yeah.
And we got all the input there. If somebody has an issue with, is asking regularly.
I know, he's taken some smaller increases in the past.
Yeah, he's
I'm willing to do that, so I.
very modest increases, that's right. This is one of the largest one he's asked for, it's still not that much, so.
It's within the 5%.
So I'll make a motion that we approve contract terms for Mr. Schmidt for the 2025 to 2026 school year as presented.
You need to give me a no.
Yes, there's no one.
There's a
To include a salary of,
There you go. That'd be the bottom number right there, right?
103,000.
Yep, so that, to include the salary of $103,000.
Thank you.
Plus the $25 per month to be contributed to the 403B 457.
Good,
I got it.
Kelly.
Yes, I got
Okay.
it, thank you very much.
We got a second.
Second.
Wyatt, second. All right, moved and seconded then to approve Mr. Smith's contract request for 25-26, $103,000 base salary plus $25 a month contribution into the 403B fund. No discussion. Now we'll vote. Justin?
Yes.
Chance?
Yes.
Wyatt?
Yes.
Self, yes. Kate?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried 6.
Thank you.
And then next month, discussion, you got.
Yeah, get that array, that'd be great.
Yep. We'll get it.
School sites.
We'll get it to you ASAP. Well, essentially Kyle will just ask GNAC ADs, hey, what do you make?
Okay.
And he'll put together a spreadsheet and I'll send it out. Well in advance of the packet. I mean, I'll send it out as soon as he has it, which will be 24 to 48 hours. Probably. So.
He doesn't want the raise, so he's in the trigger.
That's all.
Send it to you the day
Yeah.
after March meeting.
I don't think principals is.
Principal's not good.
Public knowledge on the array. Can you-
No, there's
No,
no,
it's just
there's no
superintendent.
principal transparency. So it's just superintendent, which you're required to put up. Now, it's still public knowledge. You just made it public knowledge. But you're not, but you're not required to post it on your website.
Yeah.
If anybody were to ever ask, I wanna know what somebody makes, yeah, I got that, I have that data.
We have to, even the teachers, we have to, if somebody asks, we have
Oh,
to.
yeah.
know
Yeah, it's all public knowledge.
Taxpayer dollars or
The
whatever.
the negotiated agreement is on our website, you know, so you don't know where everybody is individually, but, you know, I could direct them to it.
Yeah, well, thank both you guys for it, and glad to have you on it. Year. Sounds like a lot of years.
Thank you.
Mr. Sousman, can you join our conversation?
Absolutely.
We had some questions on the billing on through the. Provider. Is that a monthly, is it I mean, obviously we're approving it all up front here, but is it a monthly bill, what is it all included, I guess?
So what you've got here, this is a month for 20 licenses. Okay, so he's got that, did they have this with
Yes.
all these redactions in or whatever? These-
No, they've got what's presented up here, so you just tell me what, or you can go here with your.
There's another breakdown somewhere that added up to 290.
So I don't,
Right there.
290, yes, this is the cloud thing for 2020, okay? Times 290 a month. So if we only need 20, this is just the monthly price. If we need 40, which would do most of our staff, you just take that times 2.
Wait a minute, this isn't for phones then?
No, this is
The cloud feature.
this is the cloud feature.
We didn't discuss the bid for phones.
So the phones, and I don't have this, but I've got a spreadsheet I made on my. Hmm?
The phones are a purchase, right?
The phones are just a one-time thing.
One-time purchase,
that
we
the
didn't, we don't have that information.
The phones
That's a
are going to
$15,000
be,
one.
10,400,
what I've got on this spreadsheet
That's the
for
cloud.
the hardware for the phones is 9,382. And then they have to update our phone switch, that's a one-time thing, that's 1,383.
We don't have that spreadsheet.
And then installation is $1,600. So,
23.
so my total for that without the cloud is $12,365. That's a one-time fee that we won't pay again until,
Could you say that number again?
yes, 12,365.
And that's,
Now, this is just reading off a spreadsheet I made, so that's not off of an official quote.
that's
That-
no good without,
No,
No, this is that
This
call
is,
forwarding.
this, I don't know, this is, no. This is,
that's the 290 times 36.
yeah, which would be for,
3 years.
oh, is that what that?
That's what it comes out to, that's what.
Oh, that's what that is. That's for 3 years. I see. Okay.
Is that
I
the-
was thinking they were doing that, we were getting 36 of those things a month. And that was our month. Okay, so yes, that would be for 3 years. That would cover 20 people to get the license
So we're not paying that.
3
right
years.
now. That's billed monthly.
That would, yes, this would not be all at once.
Or 12,365.
It would be
That's not
$290 a
relevant to the
month.
conversation at all.
Well, I thought that's just for 20 lines, I thought you needed 40.
Well, have we even,
On-
This was-
hold on here.
yeah.
This
hang on.
isn't relevant at all. This is not right. That's for the cloud office. We're talking phones here, and what Tom just gave us is the bid for the phones at $12,365. This is for the Zoom Avaya solution anyway.
Yes,
So this
Avaya's
is
complement to the Zoom part, yes.
Yeah. This is
And that would
different.
just be for 20 licenses for 3 years.
Which we decided we weren't doing that,
Which we aren't doing.
Okay.
So what the bid that he just read off to us for $12,365 is for phones to be installed,
Input that.
a switch update, and
Yeah.
installation costs anyway.
But we-
from
yeah, we
IBM.
don't-
Well, I got that from, that
There's
their
no monthly,
initial
there's
thing,
no
he
monthly.
gave us that
There's no
first
monthly.
thing
It's gonna be the
this
same
year.
as what we
When he
wanted.
came to your office and we sat with him.
$12,365.
That's why they said,
bonus.
okay, that's why they said, well, then they won't be able to make calls from.
Yeah, but
Right.
That's it right there.
It's just hardware.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just hardware tapping onto the
So that's the
lines.
price on the phones. Those, so I just came up with my own, saying, okay, we need this many of this phone and this many of that phone and this many of that. And then there's the software, that's $13.83, and there's the installation, $1,600. So,
You just have more rooms that have to be launched.
well,
You know
it's
what, Wyatt, I feel like we should
12,365.
confirm that,
That's
but it should, that makes sense, right? Like,
Well, if we're
you're just putting more
not
phones in the house, you don't
This
have to pay
matches
for
what-
each one.
This matches what Grant gave me a while ago.
to do that, it could change
So this does.
which model of phone.
Because then he added in some feature that I believe is like the,
So if I
you can
do,
call old school, you can call back to the classroom. That's the
Two
update on the
weeks.
They're
switch
just
part.
an
That's the hardware
extension,
part.
right?
Yes.
Each teacher will
That
have an
would cover
But yeah,
extension.
you won't have a recurring
For
charge,
sure.
as far as I understand.
Yeah,
For
that
sure.
makes sense.
So your action item 16, which has a not to exceed 15,000, it still applies.
It does.
So,
You wanna say that
But
one more
the-
time? What was the $1,600 portion of that for?
installation.
Installation.
So-
Supplies and trade.
Phones are one-time purchase, 9,382.
That, roughly, since we're not doing this cloud piece, it may change the model of phones that I need for certain people.
Okay,
So that could fluctuate just a little bit.
probably down.
Probably down, yes. But it's definitely not, I mean, if you're not doing the cloud piece, with what I've got, we're at 12,365. 15,000 ceiling is going to cover us
Yeah, 'cause
easily.
from
So-
what, the numbers that he gave me, there was 9,382.
Correct.
And then there was a one-time fee of 1,383.
Yep.
And then
Switch up.
installation for $1,600.
Correct. Correct.
Tom, what's a switch?
The switch, so the main phone line for the school comes in and goes to a switch. Just think of it as an automated, the old ladies from the 40s plugging the things in, that's what it does. It just, the call comes in, it says, oh, you want to go to this extension. It says, oh, that phone's plugged in here, it routes the call to that, and then it goes. So,
You ever seen a hub?
Sure.
Yeah. Same thing. It's just smarter. That's all.
It's just-
It doesn't need an old lady doing it.
yeah.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see why I needed Tom here for that committee meeting.
Okay.
So, Yeah.
So would we just approve it for the 15?
I think we could approve it as it's written, right?
Yeah, and then we'll let Tom manage it and Dr. Rowe.
And
manage it.
report back, next month with details, and as we start to look at, timing of it, probably. It doesn't automatically have to wait till summer, I think it's whenever Grant and the boys can go.
Yeah.
It could depend too on if we,
Do network drops.
when we do these data drops, yeah.
Because you have to wait for, if I'm ready to, Grant said you have to wait for E-rate.
That, it's in the process right now. I've had 2 or 3 companies come in and give me.
You don't have Cat 5 wiring or Cat 6 wiring, some of those?
I do have Cat 5, it's old, it's in,
Yeah.
it's just in inconvenient places. So we wanna go through, this building is fine. It's just the newer part of the high school, cause we're not gonna waste money on doing the junior high. Potentially that could all be changed in a few years. And there are drops in those classrooms that they can have phones. But what we're doing is the newer part of the high school, we're gonna do 2 data drops. One will be, we've kind of decided that the common place for the phone should be right by the door. So we'll do 1 drop right by the door, that's where everybody's phone will go in the high school. And then we'll do another drop somewhere else in the room that we can use for a computer or a smart board or something like that. That will be new Cat 6 cable and just be up to date, because all the other cable was run by, I don't know, Retzloff and some students. You?
Just some local
That's
nerds.
that's why it's down all the time.
It's not good. We're 18,
That's why
17
it's
years
down.
old.
And when we redid the ceiling a few years ago, we had to tie it, and it's tied all up in there.
Yeah.
It's just whole. It's a mess up there. So, so this will be a.
So did you guys pass when you did that? Like, did you do that for a grade?
For Canuck, yeah.
Canuck.
We were great.
Yeah.
Ace.
Codes have changed a little bit since then, as far as what's approved and what's not approved, so. And the E-rate stuff is all reimbursed 70%, so.
Okay.
We won't.
So you guys did the wiring and Chance did the greenhouse. Ken, were you in on the greenhouse? No, you're too young?
I'm just 2 years younger than Chance, I just didn't do
He didn't go down and hang out, come in all the time.
it. No.
All right,
Well,
so.
it should work, we just need to
Yeah.
rephrase the suggested language into, keep it under 15,000. We got an actual dollar amount. We need the bid from,
Yeah, I see, you could just change it to a not to exceed 15.
not to
Yeah,
exceed.
that's what we'll do. Okay. I'll make a motion that we accept the bid from Nikon in the amount not to exceed 15,000 to install a classroom phone communication system.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded then to approve the bid from Nikon, the amount not to exceed 15,000 to install a classroom phone communication system. Discussion? No, vote, Wyatt?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Pete?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Chance? Yes. Okay, motion carried, solved. Okay. Thanks, Tom.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yeah, that's gonna be stuff.
Okay.
Because we know it's here.
Okay. Okay.
Limp along.
Good.
As a student,
Okay,
you're
we've got, we'll move then on to number 23.
Or in your office?
Discuss and take possible action on the resignation of the certified nurse.
Oh, I've had that. Okay.
It's sitting there.
Okay.
Right off the name.
Yeah. So I think I shared with you in the email the rationale, well, you saw the language in her resignation letter, but, her kids are gonna go to Ludger, and their kids are gonna go, likely, are gonna go to Creighton Public Schools, so, it's a family decision,
So she
we support it,
Should she take a position at public or at Lutgers?
public.
Lutgers is only like 6 teachers
Didn't she still work at
She did.
She did.
And then came here?
Yep,
Did she student teach with us?
yes,
Student taught with us, got a job at Ludger, came here after 1 year at Ludger.
Yep.
Been with us for 3,
yep.
Yeah.
so we'll begin to advertise immediately.
It's too bad.
Well, it's what's best for her family.
Yeah, I'm just gonna miss her.
Yeah,
Yep.
they couldn't move their farms to our district,
Yeah, I know.
so one of those deals, right?
I've been to their farms. It's close enough to Plainview.
You can move your land.
Yeah.
somehow, it's complicated, a lot of paperwork, but it can be done.
So we will need a motion to accept that resignation.
I'll make a motion to accept. I have to read the language. Hold on. I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Sage Wortman at the end of the current contract year.
Second.
Second.
Move to second to accept the resignation of Sage Wortman at the end of this contract year. Further discussion? Not, we'll vote. Melissa?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Chance?
Yes.
Wyatt?
Yes.
Myself, yes. And Katie?
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0. Move on to reports, activities director report.
District bowling was last week, boys and girls on Tuesday and Wednesday, I believe. And we had one placer, Natalie got 9th, but you have to be top 5 to go to state, so we are not sending anybody. Conference tournaments just completed on Saturday. Boys competed at state duels for wrestling, they finished 5th. Girls wrestling districts are done, we have our first girl qualifier, Mackenzie Mosley, so she set some history for us.
There's her bracket right there for your information.
She
Here
wrestles
she is
Tuesday
right
at
here.
4 o'clock. With a win, she wrestles again. If she loses, she moves to Wednesday.
Are you gonna have some sort of
Next
send-off for
Tuesday.
her?
Yep.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Yep.
Well, I forget today's Monday.
Well, it's the same week as us, it's one big week of state, yeah.
Girls have done Tuesday, Wednesday.
Is
now
girls
this
all
Thursday.
one class too, like?
Two classes.
They have A and B now.
First year for
Yep.
Yeah, so they'll do girls state Tuesday,
Wednesday.
Wednesday, boys state will still be the Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But now they'll have their own time, all up to CenturyLink, we got the CenturyLink all week, and they'll have their own, that'll be great.
Yeah, boys have districts in Wilcox Friday, Saturday. Girls and boys basketball districts are here in the next couple weeks. Girls start next week on Monday, Tuesday. Boys are the following week. Put in the host district track again, so we should hear back from that in about a month or so. And we're hosting district speech in March.
And
So-
conference art, right?
Yes, and we'll be hosting conference art, so we'll probably be asking for a day off
For district speech,
Yes.
It'll be a contract day, but we'll, a little easier to go ahead and let students out. They're begging for that snow day, elusive snow day, but,
It's snowing right now.
oh, Hurt's back there fighting the snow. But if I can open the blinds, you might have an early dismissal. So, yes, we'll use our staff to help us with hosting a district track. 19th of March, is that Wednesday, the 19th?
Yes, Wednesday, Thursday.
Whiteout conditions out there.
We'll run down.
Thank you,
There you
the
go.
administration, for allowing the kids to go to Bob Langfelter's funeral. That was really neat to see them there.
They didn't need our permission, but and we give our kids credit, that was all.
All of them were in their
All them,
jerseys. That was
so-
pretty neat. It meant a lot to the family.
Anything else, Randy?
Commit benefits Friday night, so we got all that stuff going on. Other than that, that's about it.
Not enough, too.
That's about it.
Yep.
This week's a quiet week, we only got 2 events.
Two conferences.
That would be in Jen's report.
Yep. On that principal's report.
The only other thing that I just wanted to add that's not on here is just express our gratitude, and I'm speaking on behalf of Kyle and I, to the board members that went to that daycare meeting in Pierce. I know Jeremy was very flattered by the fact that Plainview represented Pierce County very well, and you know, our interest that we showed in moving forward with that was much appreciated by all of us.
I apologize, I couldn't make it.
Your fellow board members were there for you, so it was all good.
Yeah, it was a good event. It just showed different ways of, here's how one school had it work together, doing it, here's
Yeah.
how another school had it work, and I think it's important for the school and the community to work together. I think the school can help out. And we kinda, I think we thought maybe one option might be a little
Yeah.
better than the other, but, yeah, there's lots of ways the school can help get that going.
And Kyle and I have been part of several conversations about this stuff over the last year. And I think the board kind of felt the same way, that the one school's way of doing it seemed to really kind of mirror what we are considering for our future as well, so.
Since I missed it, could you elaborate?
Well, this will all be conversation we'll probably have.
Yeah.
Once
You're
we
talking about
get
moral
the
conservation?
facility update, and I think we'll have those conversations.
And then-
We're also gonna make a grant writing committee, and I've already said that I'm not on that.
You volunteered.
I
Volunteered to not be on it.
So since you guys weren't there, you guys are on.
What?
That's all you got for business.
Unless there's any questions you have.
Okay, yeah, I had a few things I was gonna say, and Caden probably could tell me something I forgot to, when I sent out your board committee assignments, that we might be needing to make, you know, an additional committee, sort of whether it be a child care committee, or preschool, yeah, something like that, so, you know, we can certainly do that at that time. If there's anybody that would like to be on that, you know, let me know. We'll see how that progresses. Wanted to mention a little bit about meeting times, you know, I brought that up last time. I sent out an email, said, well, how about, nobody seemed to have too much of a problem, but how about if we went, you know, a 5 p.m. meeting September through April, and then we went back to 7 from May through August. Does anybody really have a problem with that? That would help, you know, out during the school year.
Well, and you, I mean,
I think everybody's, are we okay with that? You want to just keep it at 7? Any thoughts?
I think 5 is awesome during the winter, because it gets dark at 5. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm
Most
gonna
people-
sleep by 7 if I didn't have a meeting.
Yeah, I think most people are wrapped up with what they're doing by, you know, our, by April meeting would be early April, so you'll be in the field, you'll be in the field a little bit sooner. It doesn't matter, we'll go back to 7, whatever.
Yeah, I'll make it one.
So if that's okay, maybe
Yep.
we'll start it with, we'll just keep it at 5 p.m. meeting next month.
Until April.
March and April.
So from like November, December to April?
What did I say something like, they said, May to August, we go 7 p.m.
I think if I had pushed that to about November, because harvest would be.
Yeah. You wanna quit at 4
You're-
o'clock to be here at a 5 o'clock meeting and harvest?
Yeah, we can go, if you wanna go November,
That's
make the
fine.
November
Fine.
meeting, 7 p.m.
Yeah, because a lot of times we're done by November, I mean, if you're not, it's one day, so.
Yep.
So then
Let's do that.
December to April is at 5. Thank you.
And then, I had looked at my packet today, and I found those conflict of interest forms, I don't know if it applies to anybody. If not, you don't need to do anything, right?
if something comes up, you just always abstain, in case you're ever, you know, concerned about somehow school making a voting on something where your family could benefit, directly benefit. Just abstain.
Don't have to as a coach, but.
I mean, you probably can't vote if we're gonna give the coaches a raise, other than that, you probably.
Yeah, we got paid. Why'd you tell him that?
No, he doesn't get paid?
No.
Oh.
It's,
Is that the meeting?
Sorry, Caden.
Yeah.
We're all volunteers here, Caden.
And then I just wanted to mention condolences out to the family of Bob. That was really nice work. Dr. Earl did that night at the basketball game out in the women's side. It was really good, guys. He supported our kids a lot, and all of them too. It's gonna be missed. So it was nice to see the kids there. That's all I've got. Superintendent.
okay, a couple things that I maybe don't have bulleted that I will bring to your attention, a couple things that you found in your folder. Along with the membership guide, I also put an AFR in there. That comes directly from the audit, which you received a couple months ago. It's just in a different format, and maybe you find that to be a little easier, I don't know, than the spiral bound $17,000 audit document. So I use the AFR more so than the audit, just for your information, when I work on budget data. But I just wanted you to have that as well. That comes from the Department of Ed. So that was in your folder. Geez, you might even have to help me with what else I stuck in there. Nothing important apparently.
I already put mine away.
Can't remember, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention. We did get, this week, our property taxes for February were quite significant. So, I mean, your revenue right now is what, now, if you remember, of course, Wyatt, our budget committee recommended that extra cent or two move to general fund as opposed to building fund. We're gonna have no problems with payroll throughout this fiscal, and again, I hope and anticipate we'll be able to invest in our CDs and have vehicle acquisition before the end of fiscal budget. Those two things would be good and pretty positive. I have HAL coordinator on there. I mean, you know, an ambitious school is always looking to how we can better serve all our different demographics of students. Most schools, I feel, most schools probably underserve their high ability learners, talented and gifted as it was called decades ago. We may be in that category because oftentimes you don't have a dedicated HAL coordinator, you just stick it with somebody. The principal does our HAL, or this, we're gonna give it to this teacher. Right now, Mrs. Yoke does it in addition to her media specialist duties, K-12. And we provide some experiences for our kids, but that's one area that we would recognize the administrative team, and we need to do a better job there. We knew that before we went to the state conference and saw Laurel Concord Coleridge HAL students, one of which was a niece of Mrs. Jensen, who for years has raved to me about her granddaughter's experience in the HAL program at LCC. I visited with their superintendent a few times about how it's structured, but the primary thing is they have a dedicated HAL coordinator whose primary responsibility now is she's 50% HAL and 50% something else, but she's not a classroom teacher in addition to, or media specialist in our case. So, so I'm not here asking you to increase our certified staff, but it's on our radar of how we need to grow what we do for our students who need to be pushed and who need experiences beyond the general curriculum. The stay survey I gave you last month, and Kyle and Jen are conducting stay interviews alongside their evaluations, beginning last fall already, but and they may or may not report out any of that, likely no. They're gonna hear maybe some of the same things that you have documented in your stay survey. I was pleasantly surprised with the comments of our staff as well. Just gives me a good feeling that we don't have folks that are always looking for greener pastures. And if they do leave us, it's a family decision or something else. It's not because they're having a poor experience here. So as a board, and it starts with you, you are setting the stage for them to have a good experience here, to be compensated well, to be appreciated, which is oftentimes more important than being compensated well. So it was good. It was revealing. Nothing I don't think that we saw that was incredibly dramatic, but it was encouraging to your administrative team to receive those comments back. And if you have any input or comments about anything that you read, maybe highlighted or caught your attention on those stay survey documents?
The survey's anonymous.
They were.
They are.
They were. The stay interviews obviously would be a different opportunity. But
So we got a copy of those. This is different?
yeah, this is a face-to-face conversation that Kyle and Jen.
Okay.
That Kyle and Jen will have generally as part of their post-observation conference that you have with the teacher. And sometimes, you know, there's arguments back and forth on whether surveys should be anonymous or not. We just thought, you know what, we know that when it's anonymous, you're probably gonna get more authentic input, which is what we wanted, so. We figured about it. Whether we do that every year or not, or maybe just with our, maybe sometimes you do that just maybe with your non-tenured staff, or certainly with your new staff. But you don't ever wanna overlook your veterans as well, and ask them, because you don't want to take them for granted. Just because Mrs. Mosel and Mr. Boyd have both been here for decades, and they're not going to leave us to go teach somewhere else, their input is certainly valued as much as anybody else's.
I'd encourage you to keep doing those, and we do it where I work. a nice feedback loop. And it's better than springing a survey later, because sometimes you want surveys when you have problems. This is the way they catch them early, or it just becomes like normal duties.
Will do.
They encourage it.
Yeah, and they appreciate the opportunity to share.
I think it sends a good message of just doing it anyways, regardless of what you hear. It sends a good message that we care about what they do.
Well, you're asking for feedback.
Yeah.
And you want to know what they
Yeah. And along those lines too, last month, our staff set an all-time record for attendance at a board meeting. We encouraged them to show up, and of course we know that it's in the evening, and that's certainly inconvenient for a lot of folks. They were there primarily to be part of and support the conversation with Mr. Sukup, our facility audit engineer, because they are very excited and very invested, obviously, in the conversations that are going to go on about potential facility modern improvements.
Can we have a survey on what the staff feels is integral to this decision? Like what they would like to see in that building?
Yeah, so he did interviews with all of them. They've had that opportunity, but we want to include them as we go down the road. And I've shared with staff, they have more influence than we do in the community, and to a certain degree, more influence than you. So their vocal, hopeful support for, we need an investment from our stakeholders. Please support an investment in this pretty big variety, what could become a big variety, not just 8 classrooms in a wrestling room, which we really need to replace, right? But there will be more, and so they will be part of that. And I told them we're gonna call upon you to do more than just, you know, share with people when you see them or a letter to the paper. We're gonna call upon you to help advocate for our school district and community, because they're pretty influential folks. Your teachers are highly respected, practically universally. So I'm just real pleased with our staff. In a lot of ways, that's one. The winter workshop we attended, that's that day off of school. We all go to Norfolk High School. We had 6 of our teachers provide leadership at that through table conversations, leading table conversations, or making presentations. So Plainview Public Schools certainly well represented. Unicameral update, I'm staying on top of a whole lot of a variety of things. Again, I don't like to get too far ahead on certain things because they die. We don't get too excited about a bill that's been introduced. We've got people that do that in Lincoln. Our NCSA and NESB follow them very carefully, and they try to squash certain things that are not good for public education before it, starts to gain any type of momentum. Had a meeting just this morning before this meeting with an update on what's getting legs, what might go away. Teachers across the state are a little nervous about the state maybe wanting to reduce their 2% contribution to the NPERS retirement fund. That's probably not going to go this year because it needs an actuarial study. The senator that introduced it didn't know that you have to have an actuarial study or it can't get to the floor. Actuarial study costs a lot of money and takes a little time. They don't have time for that. So that'll probably be an interim study on that. We'll continue to oppose that. And this only applies to non-OPS public schools. OPS has their own pension plan. They still get the 2%. This bill, 645, applies to non-OPS. So that's another irritation from your non-OPS public employees. But a whole great variety of things. If you're ever following something or you hear about something and you care about it, just ask me. I sent you the green thumbs up, the red thumbs down document that I received when I went to an NASB conference. That's changed a lot since then. Some have moved along, some are dead. But I'll update you every month, a little bit more each month from here on out because we'll know a whole lot more. Your enrollment update, that's 168 girls, 184 boys for 352. I see that I didn't have those numbers on there, but that 168 girls, 184 boys for 352. That usually goes up or down just 1 or 2 or 3 each month. A couple of meetings that you see there out of district. Vacation and sick balance are listed for your information. And that's all I have. And that's enough.
Yeah, we're done. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, thank you.